the Bodø Glimt out of Norway this past week over the Conference League, but can, of course, they bounce back and get through to the semi-finals? Can they do it? We'll take a little look next. Today we look forward to the second legs of the Europa Conference League quarterfinals, of course, and we'll get to that in just one second. If you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe looking back today. All things you see are ECL related, related, world football related. We're going to all here, boys. Under one Ruski. That's right. Of course, Roma took the lead, and look, they're going to take the big fat W, of course, last time around. But of course, Bodø Glimt, who are unbeaten in over 20 odd games, of course, bounced back to take the upper hand in the first leg. We'll get into it, of course, all of it in a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. They're the patrons, guys. Thank you for your love, of course, behind the scenes. But if you're new, check out the links down below. Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and of course, Patreon as well. Make sure you smash your thumbs up. It does wonders for the old algorithm. That's right. Here we go then. Recap the results, of course, which took place last time around. Of course, they're coming at you thick and fast. Woohoo! Here I am, boys, down here. That's right. So these were the teams, of course, in the previous round. Of course, the round of 16. Of course, we said goodbye to Rennes, Copenhagen, of course, AZ Alkmaar, Vitesse Arnhem. We also said goodbye to Ghent, of course, Basel, Lasic, Partizan Belgrade. So ta-ta for them. But of course, we're now into those quarterfinals, all important quarterfinals, and we've had the first legs already. So recapping the results, of course, here they come. Leicester City against PSV. I went with a 2-0 win myself, but actually it was a 0-0 draw. Advantage, who would you say on that one? Probably advantage PSV, of course, as they bring the second leg to the Dutchlands, of course. Next, of course, probably the result of the round was, of course, Bodø Glimt's 2-1 win over Mourinho's Roma. 2-1 win it was. Of course, they played each other a couple of times already in the group stages, and of course, had the upper hand in those games, at least one of them anyway. I went with did I go with a draw? I did go with a draw last time around. It was a 2-1 win for Bodø Glimt, so I did see the writing on the wall there. I just didn't think it would be as extreme as it was in the end. So 2-1 win for Bodø Glimt to take the big W. Over to the other side then, PAOK did lose to Marseille. 2-1 it was. The other leg there over in La France. Of course, we now go to Greece to settle it up. So it's not going to be plain sailing for Marseille into the second leg, but of course they do have the upper hand with the extra goal. And then for wrap it up down the bottom there, Slavia Prague. They could only muster a draw. 3-3 it was in the end. That was over in the Dutchlands as well. So the second leg will be extra spicy in the Czech Republic. So that's, of course, the state to play there. Look at how you guys got on then, shall we? With, of course, the prediction league. So here we go. Of course, there was, 4 points on the offering. Vinny Hung got himself 3. So did JSBFC are great with 3 as well. So good point haul for them to maybe close in a little bit on the actual leaderboard. Now, this is the mainstay here. Of course, and your kingpin right now is shaded on with 76 points, of course. And Vinny Hung making some ground there with 74, with Bianca Molla in third with, of course, 73. Now we're looking at 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points left still on the offering, so of course still there to be taken out. So I think if you're in the top 8, realistically, you probably got a chance to win this one, but of course we'll have to see how it all pans out next time around. This is the link if you want to get involved for the next week. Of course the games are coming thick and fast right here right now as we edge closer to the final 4, but of course we've got second legs of these quarterfinals first. If you want to get involved, that's the link to do it. So here we go then, of course, the second legs. Of course, I am actually recording this on Saturday the 9th of April, so we're going to jump in the deep end. Of course, games, of course, coming right at you, less than a week away from today. And of course, a lot of these teams, if not all the teams, are in action this weekend in the domestic divisions. So let's bear that in mind as we make the pickaroos then, shall we? Of course, Leicester City up against PSV, or should I say PSV Eindhoven up against Leicester, of course, taking place over the Dutchlands on the 14th of April. Now, again, they played each other just the one time. It was the reverse fixture, and we'll talk about that once again in a minute. Of course, PSV, though, unbeaten in the last 6 games, of course. In fact, they haven't lost in the last 14 games. They go into this with a 75% form over the last 6, winning 3 and drawing 3. Meanwhile, Leicester just 1-5 for their 50% form over the last 6. That's 1-2, lost 2 and drawn 2. Of course, coming at you though, last time around it was a 0-0 draw over in Leicester. Of course, Leicester picking up a 3-3 draw against Twente. PSV picking up a 3-3 draw against Twente last time around, of course, over in the Dutchlands. Meanwhile, they're going to be taking on Warwick this weekend. They're expected to win that game. As for Leicester, they are actually against a high flying in for Crystal Palace at the moment. That's, of course, taking place tomorrow on Sunday. Meanwhile, of course, they do come to on the back of that 0-0 draw. The odds for this one. one, we have 21-20 is your PSV, 12-5 is your draw, 13-5 is your away win. I think this is tight. It's very, very hard to call here. I think PSV, of course, are one of the, if not the best team, the second best team in the Dutchlands, of course. And Leicester City have got really good, a good team, good squad, and realistically probably competing for this trophy. If not and nothing else. I think their Premier League form's kind of dipped a little bit, so they're really not going to be in contention for Europe, I don't think, at the grand scheme of things. So if they can win this, then of course they'll have a passage into the Europa League for next season. But I actually think they're going to nick it 2-1 win on the night, of course, and on aggregate, that'll be them through to the last four. Goodness gracious. So going a bit of an upset perhaps on that one in your guys' eyes. Next, of course, probably again another spicy encounter. It is, of course, Roma up against Bodø Glimt. Of course, the previous fixture was in Norway. They've actually played each other 3 times in 2021, of course, and no wins so far for Roma. 2 was the Bodø Glimt and 1 draw. However, Roma do come into this on the back of just 1 defeat at the past 6 games, 67% form for them. Up against the Bodø Glimt side, of course, unbeaten in forever games. I don't know, 20-odd games, of course, went throughout the campaign out in the group stages. Of course, the domestic leagues, of course, been very, very good. 83% form though over the last 6, winning 4 of the last 6, drawing a couple of games as well. So let's take a look at those 3 games prior. They kicked it all off back in Norway back in October 2021 as a 6-1 win for Bodø Glimt. The reverse fixture in Roma last time was a 2-2 draw, and of course in here into the knockout stages in the quarterfinals, a 2-1 win for Bodø Glimt has them with the upper hand. They've got the mental status as well, of course. Roma will be looking at this and thinking this is a very, very sticky wicket, and of course Bodø Glimt, if they were to get through this game, you never know. I actually would back them to make the final, and of course maybe even push to win the trophy at its first attempt. So fantastic job for Bodø Glimt. And I'm actually a big Mourinho supporter, so I'd like to see Mourinho win. But of course I cannot not like these Bodø Glimt boys. I think they're doing very, very well, and of course I've been the talk of the town across Europe. So let's see how they of course get out of this one. Prior to this though, of course, Roma did lose actually picked up a win against Sampdoria, picked up back-to-back clean sheets over in Serie A. They're expected to take on Saloniki as well this weekend, where they're expected to win as well. As for Bodø Glimt, of course, all eyes on the Sandefjord game over in the domestic top flight there, match number 2 there. They kicked off with a draw against Rosenborg prior to the game against Roma last time around. So 2-1 win, they do have on the upper hand. They're expected to beat Sandefjord over there as well. The odds though for this one, we have Roma 11-4 on for the victory, 50-4 is draw, 7-1 is your long shots. That's Bodø Glimt, of course. A draw is good enough for them to go through, of course, to make it into the semi-finals. For me, I'm actually going to go with a 2-0 win, unfortunately, for Roma at home at the Stadio Olimpico. Should be too strong for Bodø Glimt, no matter what. 3-2 in the end on aggregate. Roma will go through, Bodø Glimt will go out, despite having a cracking season in the first ever, the debut Europa Conference League. Into the other side of the bracket we go now. It is, of course, PAOK of Greece against Marseille of La France. Now, these two sides have played each other 2 times in 2003. Nothing for PAOK, 2 for Marseille, and 0 draws as well. Back-to-back defeats for PAOK right now, 67% form for them. Up against the Marseille side, of course, winning 6 on the bounce, 100% form over the course of domestic and European action heading into this. Of course, the biggest win over PAOK was a 5-1 win, and that was a friendly game, so it doesn't really count as well. Coming at you though, of course, a 2-1 win last time around for Marseille in Marseille, but of course in Greece is going to be a different beast. Speaking of Greece, of course, last time PAOK were in Greece, they took up Panathinaikos and they lost. That was in what was in that? Is that in the Super League Championship round? Of course, they did lose 2-1, lost there. Meanwhile, Marseille coming to on the back of a 4-2 win over Saint Etienne, following that up with a 2-1 win over PAOK. Of course, PAOK will take on Marseille coming at you. They are not in action in the Greek top flight this coming weekend. So unless they're in action right now, they might be in action right now. It might be taking place at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Marseille taking on Montpellier. That's of course taking place on tomorrow, and expected to win that game as well. Let's take a look at the odds then on this one. 21-10 is your PAOK for the victory for the first leg or the second leg. 11-5 is your draw. 13-10 is your Marseille on this one. Back, of course, a 2-2 draw here over in Greece. Very, very tricky place to go. Very, very intimidating crowds. But of course, that will not be enough for PAOK to go through. Marseille will seal the deal with a 4-3 in the end and go through to the other semi-final on the other side of the bracket. Next, of course, we have, of course, wrap it up. It'll be Slavia Prague up against Feyenoord, of course, over in the Czech Republic. Of course, we started with 2 Dutchies in this tournament. One of them has already crashed out. Will we actually get one into the semi-finals? Now, these two sides played each other 3 times since 2021. No win for Prague, 1 for Feyenoord, and 2 draws as well. Slavia Prague coming to this on the back of a 50% form for them. them, 1-2, lost 2 and drawn 2. Of course, up against Feyenoord side, of course, just 1 defeat by 6 of them, 75% form as well. The biggest win for Feyenoord over Slavia Prague was a 2-1 win. They've actually scored 7 goals compared to Slavia Prague, 6 over the course of those 3 games. Works out around about 2.33 goals game ratio for Feyenoord, 2 goals game ratio for Slavia Prague. Last time around, though, of course, in Prague, it was a 2-2 draw back in November 2021. And if it was the case, they will be dragging this sucker into extra time, of course, after the 3-3 first leg over in Feyenoord. Meanwhile, of course, Slavia Prague will be taking on PAOK, of course, over in the domestic flight over in the Czech Republic. Expected to win that one. Of course, as for Feyenoord, they're taking on Hercules Almelo, and they're also expected to win that game as well. Both of those 2 matches in the domestic flight will be taking place tomorrow, which, of course, is Sunday. So hopefully this video will be out in time. Let's take a look at, of course, the odds. Then 7-4 is your Prague, 23-10 is your, and 6-4 is your away win. That is, of course, Feyenoord. They are actually underdogs, but only just on this one. I'm actually going to go with the 2-1 win for Slavia Prague, which I think will be enough for them to go through and knock the other Dutch team out. 5-4 in the end. Wow indeed. So if you're just a little bit confused about who I think will make through to the semi-finals, here I go in all its glory. We'll see Leicester City in there, Roma will join them, Marseille and Slavia Prague in a very, very colourful and tasty and classic feeling, of course, semi-finals with Slavia Prague in there, of course, Marseille, Roma, and of course, nice to see Leicester City also do very, very well as well. Be sure to get your pickaroos in, of course, using the link /ECL picks, and of course, we'll be back for the semi-finals when they come back around. That's it, guys. Be sure to give us some love and smash your thumbs up, smash your subscribe, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. Also Patreon, if you want to support the love on the channel right here, right now, that's the place to be. But until then, dudes, who's going to go through to the semi-finals? In fact, before we bounce out of here, I'll give you a quick look at the odds. Of course, I should really have done that. Anyway, PAOK 25-1 to lift the trophy. 14-1 is your Slavia Prague. Bodø Glimt is actually 6 favourites, 10-1 to lift the trophy. 6-1 is your Feyenoord. 11-2 is your PSV. Leicester City are 9-2. Roma second favourites with 4-1, and Marseille 3-1 to lift the trophy. That's it. Smash your subscribe, smash the thumbs up, hit the little bell, and of course I'll see you back around for the semi-finals whenever they come around.